Now, with the EFF shutting down Click stores, the South African Commercial Catering and Allied Workers Union is calling for the protection of the retailers, employees during and after the protests. SACCAWU spokesperson Ramatlhodi joins us now for more on this. Lucas, good evening and thank you very much for your time tonight. There will be no salary loss. There will be no work loss. In fact, workers stand to benefit from this protest going forward, according to the EFF, as their management will now be treating black people with respect. What's your reaction?
Well, good evening and thank you for having us. We would be quite happy if such a statement was echoed by the company and the CEO came out specifically and unequivocally to declare that no worker stands to lose anything, whether now, in the immediate future or in the long term. Because the problem here is that once the company begins to count the rands and cents and the bottom line has been affected, we know for a fact that the first casualty would be workers, because the employer would be saying they would want to cut their cost. And the biggest cost that employers rush to as a starting point is always the wage bill. So we are worried that in the not so distant future, we might see the company coming and saying, we've ran losses as a result of 1, 2, or 3, and as a result, we would want to consult with the union. But at the same time, we want to caution the company that it would be.
All right, Lucas, let's try and establish that connection again. Seems like we have lost you. You're saying you want to warn the company?
If the company was to say that in the long run that they would look back and say, as a result of the activities that went down because of their reckless advert, they have suffered losses, and as a result they would want to consult in order to reduce cost and cut employees, it would be a dangerous maneuver, because we believe that the company has created a situation by being reckless, by not being careful, and by not auditing what goes through to their website. And if this situation results in losses, the company must shoulder the blame and protect the jobs of workers by all means necessary.
You done an audit of how many staff members were turned away today at the 425 or so stores that were closed. And are those workers feeling vulnerable at this particular point by this EFF shutdown?
Well, it is obvious workers would feel vulnerable. We have seen scenes that do not need any interpretation. And workers, for them to be turned back to their homes, it immediately signifies the fact that the company does not want to take responsibility over their safety, but at the same time it does not make an undertaking and a guarantee that they take responsibility over their job security. Now, these are two distinct issues. We want the company to come out and say no worker would lose a cent as a result of all the actions that are happening, whether it's today and over the whole of this week. And beyond, we don't want to see any worker's job being put at risk because the company has created this situation. And there I repeat, it is not of workers doing that who are having many protests all over the show. It is the company that must shoulder the blame. And to a certain extent, we believe that the company has been very arrogant in dealing with the situation. And somehow they must hold themselves responsible.
Because I want to come back to how the company has taken accountability for this saga. But before we get to that, here's what I want to ask you. Do you think that the security, the extra security measure that has been put in place will guarantee the safety of the workers? The group CEO of Clicks, Vikesh, saying they've made sure in some instances that the SAPS is there, but also private security has been brought in, more security has been brought in other instances to beef up the security, particularly with the consideration of the clients and the workers.
Well, I must indicate we must not be misled into believing that workers are at the top of the priority list of the company at the moment. The company's priority is to safeguard its assets and equipment. The second one is to ensure that their customers are safe. The workers come at a distant third. And if any private security was brought in and all the measures that they've taken, why did the company have to wait to see what will happen today, as opposed to, for example, give workers a paid day off so that they avert the situation where workers would be in the firing line of the protesters? we do not think that the safety of workers is of primary importance, and as a result, we cannot say that the company puts its workers there at the top of the priority list.
Now, there are employees of Clicks who are responsible for the publication of this advert. Are they your members? Are you representing any of them? And how do you feel about the position taken by the company that they will not disclose the details of those employees?
Well, at the moment, we are not aware. In a letter that we've written to the company, we've also requested that they disclose to us as to who these employees are and what positions do they hold. It obviously could be a feel-good exercise or a feel-good statement to declare that workers have been suspended. But at the same time, it might also be a maneuver to discount those that are supposed to feel the brunt of the action of the company, and using those workers that are vulnerable as a scapegoat to avert taking action against the perpetrators. And I must indicate at this point that you cannot hold workers responsible and simply talk to a company that is responsible for marketing and issuing such an advert. Such company must also feel that as a result of their action, they must suffer the consequences. If it is economic consequences, then so be it. We've been challenged by some media outlets asking if we're saying that the company should terminate the contract of this advertising agency or whoever was responsible for that. What do we say about workers? And we hate to equate this situation as if it was a battle against securing jobs and fighting against a distasteful racist advert. And our argument is that if they were to terminate the services of this advertising agency, then they must also apply as if it were a sale of a going concern in terms of Section 197 and absorb those workers.